Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, thanks so much for joining. I'm Joni Young and I'm an acrylic artist and instructor showing you today step by step how to paint a pretty landscape with neon colors. And we're working on a square 16 by 16 stretched canvas that I primed with just black, regular black acrylic paint. Okay, it was just an older canvas and all I used was this. Now if you have black gesso, that would be best. And just to let you know, you can paint this landscape on any color canvas. You can just have a regular plain white canvas and it'll work just the same. I personally love the dramatic lights and darks that I get instantly by working on a black canvas, so I'm kind of addicted to working on these lately, and I know a lot of you guys are really enjoying these too. So let's get right into this, guys. I'm going to be starting off with a blending brush here, and it's a number 30. You can use any blending brush that you have. I just want to use this one today. I haven't used it in a while and it's pretty new. I've got a few different colors here I'm going to be working with. We've got Mars Black, a little bit of magenta, light blue violet, light pastel purple, neon pink, neon red, lemon yellow, titanium white, some sap green. I've got some of the brands that I'm using today. I just wanted to show you guys because many of you have been asking. So I've got lemon yellow by Arteza. I've got Artist Acrylics produced by Old Holland. This is the neon red. And then I've got Lucas Cryle Studio. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. And it is called Fluorescent Magenta, but it's really hot pink or neon pink. Then I've got my Grumbacher, another brand. So I'm using so many different brands here, guys. And this is Hooker's Green Hue, but it is very, very similar to Sap Green. And then I've got my Liquitex Basics Acrylics for my light blue violet. Okay, I may be adding a few other paint colors along the way, but I will post everything in the description below this video for you guys. So I'm going to start working on the background, and then I'm going to build up to the flowers here in the foreground that are going to be purple and bright pink, neon pinks, and then I'm going to have some delicate, lighter, softer shades of pink back there. This is going to be a really fun one to paint, and this one's going out to one of my patrons, Christy. Thank you so much for requesting this. I'm going to do my own version of the photo that you sent me. So I'm going to start by getting this brush a little bit wet, drying the drips off, and I'm going to come in with my light blue violet with just a little bit of white. When working on a black canvas, you're going to need a little bit more white to add to your colors in order to make them show up. So I'm just going to start adding a little bit of this blue right here, and then I'm going to come in and start going in little tiny scoops like this. This will create those cloud formations. And so many of you guys look at clouds like this in pictures and think, oh, I can never paint that. But you really can. It's super easy. You have a round end brush like this, such as a Filbert brush, or one like this. It's a little bit wider, and just kind of wiggle and make little scoops like that. And then I'm just going to pull. I'm going to take a little bit more white now and a little bit of the blue again. And I'm going to go over some of these and just start layering. Now this is going to be neon red and yellow right in here, but I need to make it a little bit lighter in order for it to show up. So I'm just going to lightly, very easily brush over some of my titanium white. Just pulling back and forth like that. And I'm going to do a few more little scoops up here just to get this kind of blended in. And I think I'll just come in with a little bit more. And I'm going to turn my brush, like you probably already noticed, sort of upside down like this. The handle's pointing straight up. So don't be confused with, depending on where your canvas is situated. If it's flat on a table, you don't want to have it like this. You want to turn your brush over, and you're kind of just pushing on the side because if I went like this, then my scoops would be a little bit harder to do. It's easier when you turn it over. Just a little tip for you guys. I mean, this is just what works for me, but you can approach this painting any way that you want that works best for you. All I'm doing is showing you guys ways that I find the easiest to approach a painting. Okay, I'm gonna pull a little bit more of my white along here. And then especially right here in the center, where I'm gonna have my sun, and it's gonna be sparkling, and we're gonna have some pretty sun rays. Okay, so I think I'm going to dry this off really quickly. I'll be back in a couple minutes so that I can layer over. It doesn't take long at all. It's a very thin amount of paint we have here. I just accidentally touched this before it was dry enough. I pulled off a little bit of the paint and then I just tapped over a little bit more of my blue. Now if it's not bright enough here, I might have to go back and add a little bit of white and blue after. But we'll just go with it now and see how it works out. Okay, so now for the fun part. I love adding these bright colors. So let's start with a little bit of the magenta, this neon magenta pink. We're going to just go right over top. See that, guys? You just take the paint and you just layer right over. Now we're not going to go over top of this blue section here. We want a little bit of that smoky blue violet sky. I'm going to take a little bit of my neon red and I'm going to add it right in here. So we're going to get real close to that blue and then we're just going to move away from it and go down here. I'm also going to pick up some yellow while I do this. I want to have more of a yellow area right here and then layer it with that red. And then we can actually add in a little bit of white this time with our yellow and our neon red. And then we can have, I'm going to turn my brush like this again, and we'll have just a few little areas here where we've got some more pockets of light, I like to call it. Little pockets of light right in here, even a little bit in here. And I'm going to take a bit of white and tone that because it's a bit too yellow. And again, right over here, I know that when this dries, it's going to dry a bit darker, and the yellow over top of black will give it a green tone, and I really don't want it to look green. So I can balance that out by adding some white. So going back to my yellow and my neon red, I'm going to go right across the bottom here. More red. I want this to be really intense, and I've got hints of that white and yellow in there. This is what's so amazing about working wet on wet, and I touch on this a lot, is that you can get so many different shades that kind of just come together organically, naturally on their own while you're painting. And it's a really fun way to create. So I'm going to take more of my neon red now, and just right under here, I'm going to pull right across, and I'm going to do a little bit of it down here because we're going to have some light coming in here. And I'm going to turn my brush this way and just tap really lightly. So tap, 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 tap like this. There's some little bushes, grassy area here where the light's kind of hitting it. A little bit brighter in this area. And I'm going to come over without washing my brush off, pull in some of my sap green or hooker's green with my yellow, and I'm going to come right under here all the way to here, and it's going to be sort of like a triangle shape. Pull in just like that. We'll take a little bit more, both that yellow and green, and you can approach this a few different ways. You can come in with your brush sideways like this and slide up and down. You can tap. I'm going to do all three. You can tap and you can pull and flick like this. I'm going to add just a little bit of my black to my sap green and my yellow mixture, and I'm going to go just right under here, make sure that stays dark. Now if it dries a bit too dark, I can easily go over with a bit more light after. So I'm going to soften that a little bit. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit in here. This is where we're going to have some flowers. We want little hints and peaks of that gold light in there. So I'm just going to kind of make it look random. Little bits of leaves and whatnot in here, vines and stems. I'm not too worried at this point about what I'm making them look like. I'm just thinking about and concentrating on the light, the shadow, and the color. So it's sort of just very patchy and blocking in color. Okay, so now I'm going to wash my brush off. And I'm going to switch over to a smaller one so I can add a little bit more detail in here. And I'm going to use my liner brush. So I'm getting it wet, and I'm going to pull in to the red, the yellow, and the white. A little bit more white in here. And I'm going to twirl my brush around and then get enough on the tip to work with. And I want to feel like it's going kind of pulling up on an angle like this. So I'm going to do little scoops. Again, I'm holding my brush the same way, but more diagonally, whereas before I was scooping straight across, up and down. But in this case, I'm just adding some highlights that are fanning out on a little angle like this. Okay, I need to reload my brush. I'll take a bit more white, a little bit of water. Got to help that paint flow out of there. Liner brushes can be a little bit tricky, and water's your friend. This is a really pretty picture. I've seen this before on some images online, and I really wanted to take my ideas and kind of pull it into this painting somehow. So I'm hoping I'm able to achieve that today. And I'm going to take a little bit of white with a little bit of both the pink and the red, and I'm going to come right in here, and then I'm just going to tone this yellow a little bit so it doesn't end up looking green, and just give this a soft pinky look. Tap and soften with my finger, and then I'm going to come right in here and add a little bit more. You can see right in there I added a little bit of yellow that was in my brush, and right away, or that blue, of course, it's going to look green. I don't want that. Maybe I do. I don't know. Maybe that would look pretty. Okay. So I think I'm going to take a little bit of white with some more yellow here and make sure this is going to dry the right color. Just pull and soften a little bit here. And now I'm going to come in with more of my pink with a little bit of white and add some more little scoops. So we're going to have multi-tones of these pinks happening. That's going to just bring this sky to life and make it look super vibrant and exciting. I just love painting with lots of color. It's so pleasing to the eye and it's so much fun to use. A little bit here at the top. Adding a little bit of larger scoops. So that way they're a lot smaller here, so they look like they're getting farther away. I'm going to continue. Now I'm going to add the red and the pink in with the white. Continue on this little angle we've got going here. And more red this time. Just having so much fun with all these colors. It's the best way to create when you're having fun and using all the colors that you want to use. Okay. Here we go, is the right brush. I've got my little Filbert here, and I'm going to take some more of my red, a little bit more yellow, and some white with my yellow. I'm going to take a bit of white right here in the middle, make a little circle, and then I'm going to take just a little bit more of the white, and I'm going to pull and flick up. We'll have one this way, another one coming out there, there, and I'm going to go over the center here. We'll be adding some more colors to these rays, but I want to get the basic shape of them first. I think that looks really pretty already, actually. Okay, take a little bit more. And we'll have one in here as well. So what you want to do is have them the brightest where they're coming out from the sun, and you want them to be skinny there, and then as they go up and out, they're going to be slightly larger. I'll just soften that a little bit because it was a little out of control. That one was a little bit too much. Okay. I'm going to take a little bit of yellow and some red and add some golden light to these rays. A bit more. So it's really fun to play around with your colors for your sun rays. Don't think it has to be just white. Sometimes just white looks nice. And we need to add one right in here. A little bit more white. There's bright white right in the center there. A little bit more. Just turning my brush kind of flat, barely touching the canvas. Kind of pulling around to make that sort of smooth. I think right in here, I'm going to take some of my light lilac-y purple with my blue and just a little bit of pink. I'm going to tint it with a bit of white. And start coming in here, adding a little bit more. There, I think I like that tone a bit better. And I want to take a little bit of white now with my pink. I'm just gonna soften a few little highlights in here. Now we've got some trees in the background. I'm gonna let this just rest for a little bit and come back to it, but we do have some trees back here, so I'm gonna take my green, a little bit of yellow in there because I know it's gonna dry dark, and we'll see if this is the right shade. So I'm just gonna kind of just tap. Pulling some different sizes of lines. Just little blobs. You can even tap along to create some lower ones like this. And we can have them right below the sun. Take a bit more of the paint. I kind of like that. So I'm going to I want to start adding some more light to the grass area here. I'm just going to do a line like that and then brush over lightly. There, that looks pretty. And I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to go up and down, turning my brush around to get all that paint out of it. Let's take a little bit of red, that neon red with our yellow. Be a little bit more generous with my yellow. And then kind of pushing off the excess. And we'll come right in here. Adding a little bit more. Bringing some more light in here. Let's pull in some more of our red, and we'll add a little bit right up in here. I think I want to actually add a little bit more than that. Pull, and just kind of gently flick down here. Back over to my yellow. And I'll go over top of this. That way when it dries, it'll be a light, soft peachy color. Okay, so let's see how we're doing here with our sun. I'm going to try taking some yellow, and I'm going to very lightly pull it into these sun rays. And if I catch this paint still wet enough, I can pull some of that white in with that yellow and it'll look really pretty. Okay, I'm going to go back over to my white again. Make that circle back there. I should be using a flat brush for this, so I'm going to switch over. I've got a little 1/2 inch one here. I'm going to get it a little bit wet. Take some of my red and my yellow. And then some white and yellow. Bring that one out. We can add another one in there. Why not? Okay, so I really like how this is looking. I'm gonna start adding some more of my red, yellow mixture here. And I think I am ready to start coming in with the flowers now. So I'm going to use my Filbert brush again for this. And oh, I can't wait. I'm so excited. I'm going to take a combination of magenta and blue. And I'm going to start, let's start right in this area. I'm just going to push and tap. Add actually a little bit of white and pink to that one. I want these ones to be a little bit softer. A little bit more of the pink. Just little dabs. Push and tap, and just keep going. You want to leave a few spaces so you can see the green through. Pick up some of that blue with the pink now. And I'm going to add a little bit of neon red in some of these areas here. Some of these petals can be a little bit brighter. I need some white to help balance that, because some neons are, well, most of them are transparent or translucent, so you need to have some white for the color to show up. I'm not sure what kind of flowers these are. Maybe they're phlox. You guys know what phlox are, but they smell really beautiful. Add some more blue now. So you can just keep layering until you build up the right amount of color that you want and tone. I'm going to bring some here right around the edge. I don't want to forget about the very edge of the canvas so that you don't see it stop all of a sudden. I want to have the feeling that there's flowers going around the other side. So I'm taking a little bit of both the pink and the blue, right? And then where I want it to be a bit brighter in color, I'll add some white. And let's take a little bit more of our white here. Pick up a little bit of pink with it. I'm going to do little taps. Maybe they're delphiniums. They could be delphiniums, phlox. Okay, so I don't want to cover every little bit of green and dark area we have underneath here, because we want to have that grass showing through in order to have some light and shadow. Okay, I'm going to take some red and some pink, and I'm going to go over partially over part of these flowers here. Once it dries, it'll be darker, and we'll get a nice balance of light and shadow. Some more neon pink in here. Now I've washed my brush off and I'm going to take some yellow, some of my sack green, tiny bit of white. I'm going to pick a few spots again to add some sunlight maybe hitting down here. And if it's pulling over top of the grass here, it's going to have that golden glow here. There's little bits of leaves in here. Little bits. And we can add a little bit more light in here as well. So I'm just going to make this golden color again, yellow, a little bit of white, and some red. And then push and tap. I'm going to bring my sun ray just over top of this cloud a little bit. There, I really like how this looks. I'm going to add a little bit more neon red up here. I'm going to add a bit of white to it to make sure that it really shows up. Actually, I'm going to use both neon red and neon pink. I'm going to make a few scoops up here. See what a difference that makes. So this is going to give us more of that perspective if we add larger ones. So again, these ones are all really small down in here. You can add a little bit more red to them, but keep them small, tiny little scoops like this. And then some larger ones here at the top. And I can tell it's going to dry a little bit dark, so I'm going to pick up a bit of white this time. Add it to it. I take more of my light blue violet. I'm going to actually take a little bit off right there. And I'm just about done this painting. For the final touch, well, there's two things actually I want to do. I want to add a little bit more wrong brush. I was going to use that liner brush for some little stems down on the bottom, but I need to use my Filbert to go over the center there for the white. a little bit more in here. I need one right there. Pick up a little bit of yellow and pink for this one. I don't want that one to be quite that bright. I just picked off a little bit of paint right there that's still wet, so I'm going to go back over with my yellow and white. A little bit more of those scoops in there. Add some more red over top of these lighter scoops that I just added there. A little bit more. Okay, now to my liner brush and some white, sap green, yellow, and water, of course, because you really want this to flow easily. So I push, twirl, and pull so that I'm getting the paint just on the very tip. Just going to very loosely pull and flick, little tiny flicks like this. A little bit more right in here. I'm going to come in with my black and my sap green. I'm going to actually add a little bit of yellow to that. Some water. I'm going to come through and add some darker ones. Can also add little dabs here for inside of some of the flowers. Just push and tap. I'll go back over to my little Filbert brush. There's a little Filbert right here. Pick up some more of the paint, and I'm going to tap this way. A little bit of shadow right up here. And before I call this painting done, add a little bit more of my red right in here, a few little scoops like that, and very skinny little lines, leaving some of that shadow exposed. Okay, so I want to thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope you liked watching this and that you'll paint along with me. Leave a comment below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more. Thanks guys. See you next time. Bye.